Hi, and welcome to this LinkedIn Live for Women Leaders. Today's topic is about women's voices and how they are needed in the boardroom. I am Helena Demuynck. I am your host. I am a transformational leadership coach for women leaders and executives. I work from the south of Spain. My coaching is supportive in terms of finding flow, finding confidence and resilience. And I do that online via online group or individual programs and also via retreats. People come here for 4 or 5 days to reconnect with themselves and with their values. And this is just something that I really love. And I am super stoked to be here with Dion Johnson from London. She is an amazing woman. I had the privilege to do some live events with her already. She is a womanologist, but she is also a board level reader, coach and supporter. She is very enthusiastic. She has wisdom. She has gold and nuggets to share. She is very generous. Sorry. So Dion, welcome here on this LinkedIn Live for Women Leaders. I am so happy to have you here, and I am so curious to what you are going to bring us. So maybe give us a short introduction about yourself, because you have an amazing story.
Well, my name's Dion Johnson. I am so excited to be here with you, Helena. Love talking with you all the time. I'm Dion Johnson. For those that don't know me, I'm a strategic advisor and executive master coach to board level women. I am very passionate about what happens in boardrooms. I believe that boards can change our world, that these are conversations that are shaping culture. These are conversations that are writing and deciding on policy, setting the agenda, deciding what's a priority, deciding what's obsolete. These are conversations that are making really important decisions about people's lives. And so I really love the idea of focusing on women who are in the boardroom, women who have those positions already. But also these conversations touch, I know, a wide range of people who maybe aren't in the boardroom, but they aspire to be in the boardroom. Maybe people who are CEOs, directors, heads in their positions, and they report to boards or they present their ideas to boards. Maybe women who are experts in their area. And in this day and age of ESG and diversity and inclusion and equity, that you have some very specialist insight that you want to share with boards, and that boards need to hear from you in order to do their jobs right. So my work is my life. It's not just a job to me. It is really the work of my life. And it's all about supporting these women who are in these rooms, part of these conversations, to really own their authority and step into their power and express their true voice. And so that they can lead with greater influence and impact in the boardroom and in other high level forums, whether that be giving a presentation or presenting the feedback for the year or rounding up and giving feedback about how things are the performance of the year, whatever it is that you're saying. I wanted to say it with power, and so that's what my work is really all about. And
That's really amazing, Dion. And you have a background that is so strong and so interesting. And just as an add-on, I had this amazing interview with Dion 2 weeks ago in my Authentic Leadership Roadshow. So if you want to find out more, and also if you want to find real gold in terms of how to find this authentic voice, then just go to one of our profiles, and in the timeline you will find a link to this video on YouTube. It is under the Authentic Leadership Roadshow, so it's very easy to find. Now, Dion, I know that you are very much focused on empowering women, and so am I. Actually, we share the same mission. And when I look at boardrooms, then I see a reality. Then I see that there's a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah.
And there's always two sides in these things. I mean, there is organization, there is government that can have, create incentives in order to make access easier. And also there are women that want to find role models, that want to find the right way to enter in a boardroom, that sometimes are afraid to make the steps, that sometimes don't know how to do this. So what is the angle that you take?
I really want to break down what you said about when you look at boardrooms, there's obvious room for improvement and there are obvious challenges. And I think that these are rooted in two particular ways. So the first one is that women since the 60s have been really fighting our way to be represented in these senior level roles in the boardroom and in senior governance of the marketplace. Now we are making progress. Whatever data you look at will show you that it is becoming less likely as the years go on that you'll find an all male board. So, we are making our way. Women are arriving. We are making our way. And actually, it isn't even that unusual now to see women leading multinational top country organizations and corporations across the sectors. It's not even unusual to see women leading nations and leading states, having high level official positions. So we're not shocked by that anymore. And that is a sign that things are really improving, moving in the right direction when it comes to representation. But it is so slow, Helena. It's so slow. I mean, that we're making progress. We're inching our way forward, but the representation issue is still an issue. And depending on what data you look at, we're still maybe 10 to 24% representation in high level leadership. And the higher you go at organizations, the less we are represented there. So there is this very real need for representation of women in high level leadership. And but we are there and we are winning and we are making a difference. And it's official. Women are great for business. So where there are women featured in high level leadership, we see that there is a correlation with the success of that business, that, the people are doing better. The bottom line is doing better, that the companies where women are more represented in leadership, they're more profitable. The bottom line is we make businesses more profitable, and we're great at that. Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of data to prove that. And this is not new. I mean, I remember reading about this 10 years ago already, in terms of how important it is that there is a diverse board and that there's a diverse leadership team.
Yeah.
And you can really read it in the statistics in terms of profit, in terms of earnings, in terms of growth. And still, I mean, there's a lot. If you see how much effort companies do in order to just grow that small margin, or just make like a 1-digit growth, and they do amazing things in order to achieve that, and then there are opportunities to go a lot faster, and they don't.
Yes.
They don't use that.
It's complex, isn't it? It's complex because now the opportunity's there and the figurative door is open for women to take these roles. But the question is whether we want them or not. There are some women who are very driven to be in these roles, but there are some women, and I speak to a lot of them, who are worried about the culture of these spaces. About the demands that we perceive they represent for one's work life in these high level spaces. And so that's something that I know that maybe we'll talk about that later on, but it's definitely a consideration for women who are thinking about going up. But here's the other thing, is that my background is midwifery, and this is where I really came into the understanding of how powerful we are as women, of how influential we are when we are standing in our power, and how our voices carry such weight when we understand our authority. And so this is really exciting to me, because I believe that it's women that's going to drive the higher representation of women in board level leadership. Mm-hmm. That it is us finding our voice and finding our place and using our positions to open the door, to extend the ladder down, to pull other sisters in. Like there is not just the job of leadership to do, there is the job of addressing the imbalance for us to do when we get into these spaces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I am looking at the audience. I'm interested to find out how does this resonate to you? Because at the one hand, indeed, it is very difficult and complex to open the doors to the boardrooms. But on the other hand, we also see that if the doors are open, there's a lot of reluctance by us to enter the room. So is that something that you experience? Can you let us know by showing thumbs up, or is that something that you also experience as women? Because you are here for a reason. You are here because this is a topic that is relevant to you. So how does it resonate? Do you recognize that although the doors might be open, you do not really feel empowered to join? I see some thumbs up. Not a lot. So maybe, Dion. Yeah. There's Randa is asking to speak. Maybe we can have somebody from the audience to join us. Yes. So Randa, right. I will give you the floor. So give us a very short introduction, please, and then we are very interested to learn your views. You are muted. If you unmute yourself at the bottom of your screen, there you are. Hi, Rhonda.
Hi, how are you?
We are great.
I know your face. I know your face, and I'm really excited about talking with you, Rhonda. Hi.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm a law enforcement coach. I'm retired from the FBI after 34 years of service. And when you talk about getting in the room, I think early on in our journey, particularly for women, early in our journey, it could be relatively, it could be daunting, it could be rough, it could be challenging. And I think from my perspective, it's a matter of confidence. It's building that confidence and really knowing that you have the ability to be in the room, you have a right to be in the room, and you have something to say. Yes. And so that, for me, I had to really develop over time. It was not anything that happened immediately. It was me growing in my space and getting to that place where I knew that I needed to be in the room. I deserved to be in the room. And I knew more than some of the ones in the room.
Yes.
So it's getting to that place. And in order to get there, it's really building that confidence and really knowing who you are, demonstrating that emotional intelligence and saying, I need help in this area. I need to do better here. And just really owning it and doing the work in order to get there.
I mean, you're saying magic words like asking for help. You know, I love to say that no leader should be aspiring to high-level leadership without the support of coach and a support network. I like to say support is not a dirty word. And in fact, one of the big takeaways that I want to leave with everyone tonight is that if you are aspiring to be in the boardroom, if you're aspiring to use your voice for change making and for shifting the needle on some of our most prolific problems that are spoken about in the boardroom and these governing conversations, that one of the first things that we really need to do is secure a support network. And we haven't been traditionally so good at that what I see is that a lot of us are struggling in silence. suffering in silence and soldiering along, trying to make it work, and speaking to our hubby or speaking to our partners or our friends when we leave work. But actually, I think we need to be thinking more seriously about just what you're describing, Rhonda, about how do I secure myself real high level support to think through the things that you've mentioned, raising my confidence. What is it that I particularly bring to the table? What is my value in this space? Like, this is really key work for us as women, taking our place on the inside behind those closed doors. It's critical. So you raise great points.
Absolutely. I do believe that finding a coach and also finding a mentor is essential for women, not only to enter the boardroom in a confident way, but also to create and craft their career. And we are afraid to ask. We are afraid to ask for help. We are afraid to ask for support. Not that much because we don't want to show as weak, but we don't want to bother other people. We are afraid to be a burden. And that's not the case. A lot of people are very happy to support you.
The culture that we work in right now, I remember one summer I did a very small, not empirical by any stretch of the imagination, little piece of research. And I spoke to about 25 really senior level, board level women. And we spoke about support needs. And what I really found from that was that we are okay with having people show us how to use the software, show us how to use AI now and, use technical equipment. We're even okay with, some of us are okay with having people to help us with the housework, divvy up the housework between us and our partners, although we're still doing the majority of that work. We're happy to have people help us walk the dog. We're happy to help people even to do the nursery run, to take the children to and from school. But we really struggle, I found in this piece of research, to speak candidly about our true experiences in this space. And or we go the other way and we only speak about how difficult it is. And I think that there is just a difference between venting and between creating safe space where you can really be honest about what's happening and how to address it. You spoke about women's empowerment earlier on. I like to speak about women's repowerment. I think we're made for this space, and we can really, we can really bring something very different and powerful, but we can't do it without some preparation work and without some support and without space and time to really think real time about the experience of what we are going through.
Yeah.
One of the things you mentioned about a mentor, having a mentor, it's also, let me just add that it's also important to have a sponsor.
Yeah.
Someone who is actually in the room, or that person that's in charge of that room or oversees who gets in that room, having them be able to utter your name in the room. That's what you need. You really need that. You need someone to be able to sponsor you and to position you. And the way that you do that is you engage your mentors. Because if you don't have a mentor, you need to get one. You need to get 2, 3, 4, and 5 mentors that are in different spaces, that are able to provide different levels of instruction or provide different levels of guidance. Because I have a lot of mentors. I still do. Even in retirement, I have a lot of mentors. But it really is key to really position yourself to get that sponsor, to get that person who can speak on your behalf. And when your name comes up, someone that's saying, "Oh yeah, I want to work with her. She's great. I've heard she's great. Yeah. And I need her in this room."
Yeah. Absolutely. That's a very good advice.
I think that there are a few things coming up here. the first thing is why support is important. The experience of women in the boardroom. I remember when I took up a directorship and I automatically became member of all of these boards in these big organizations that, I was a small part. I was a director, one of many directors. And I remember how challenging it was to really show up for real in those spaces. It was a challenge to really, I don't know, I cared about the mission. I cared deeply about the results and the vision that I had for change. I knew that I was a change maker. I knew that I wanted to impact and create transformation, but the culture of that space felt not unconducive. It felt like, it felt like we were all wearing masks. This was just my viewpoint. It just felt like we were all wearing masks. We were all saying what everybody else was saying. And it was really very difficult to put your head above the parapet and challenge the status quo. It's very difficult to put your head above the parapet and call BS or give a view that flew in the face of the state of the way that things have always been done. And I think this is what we're talking about. When we're talking about support, what we're really talking about is the fact that it's a new day for boards right now. That boards they have been around since the 16th century, and they have been, their role has been pretty much unchanged all of that time. Their role is around, hiring and firing the CEO. It's about shaping the culture of the organization, deciding the priorities, and, making sure that the business is profitable. But it's a new day for boards right now. And in the light of the pandemic, in the light of all of the tensions and the isms and the schisms and the inequality and the injustice that we are all now, that is now very mainstream, it's a new day for leadership at board level. It's a new day for boards who now have to be thinking about, how do we make things fairer in our organization, and not just in the organization, but in the community and in the nation that we impact. That boards' roles, the remit of boards, is really expanding now. Whereas before, the values and the priorities of the board was really about profit. It was really about shareholder primacy. It was really about making sure that the business was the bottom line was about money and profit, and actually power and personal gain and personal status. Like, this was the primacy of boards for centuries. But here we are now in 2023, and we are seeing this big shift. And now boards have to start to think about new values and new priorities. Now boards need to be thinking about, how do we take better care of people? Not just people inside of the organization, but people outside of the organization. How do we take care of our planet? How do we take care of, the ecology of our climate? And how do we think sustainably about how we're impacting the planet? And also, how are we impacting future generations? Boards can't not be thinking about this anymore. So it's a new day for board. There's a real call to transition from pure focus around shareholder primacy and profit to now thinking about people, and really putting your money where your mouth is when you say people matter, when it comes to the planet and when it comes to future generations. This, for me, represents a huge opportunity for us as women, because this shift in values is, I think, where we can add the biggest value. This is our day now. This is our time now. We've been fighting to get into the boardroom, but now they really need us and our power. They need us on our womanly power, our intuition, our ability to conceive new ideas and birth them, our ability to see consequences before they happen, for us to steward the well-being of people and nurture atmospheres that are conducive to a greater good. This is what we know as women how to do. And so I think it's a really exciting time for women in boards. But like we've been talking about, we need to get ready. We need support to be ready to help boards to respond to the demands of the day.
Absolutely. Dion, we were talking about this support, mentorship, coaching, sponsorship. But what you mentioned now is also the feminine, I'm not saying female, but feminine leadership qualities. Now, what can we do as women or I see there also are men in our audience, and I'm very appreciative about that. So how can we develop and make visible these feminine leadership qualities and really introduce them as the qualities that will make the boards to be able to go to the next level, to the level that we need in society right now?
Yeah, I think that it really the answer to your question comes out of an inquiry that every organization, every board needs to really stop and think about. But how do we need to improve in order to be better to our people? How do we need to improve to be better to the planet? And how do we need to improve to be better to future generations? See, if we can become mission focused around really truly putting our money where our mouth is when it comes to creating these new outcomes, and then creating cultures where people can contribute ideas around that, that's it. That's really it. We're not talking about male, masculine and feminine every man, every woman needs to be thinking about masculine and feminine leadership. Like we need to be thinking about how we are bringing how we are responding to the call to be better for the greater good. And so I don't think there's any particular need for us to be thinking, how do I be more masculine or how do I be more feminine? I think we need to start with the real mission of, if we are serious about expanding in our values and expanding in our priorities, how do we do that? And allowing a diverse conversation around that. And the call, the demand will be made in those conversations.
So how does that resonate to the audience? Is that something that you feel well equipped for? Do you think that you need support for that, or do you have specific questions for Dion in order how to grow in that area? I see there's somebody raising, I guess, his hand. Shivanka. I will give you the floor, so please introduce yourself shortly and feel free to ask your question or share your experience. You are live right now. Hi there.
Thank you so much for allowing me to talk.
Hi.
Hi, Miss Dion. So, just a short intro. I'm currently, I've been a writer and editor. I'm currently teaching kids, English, for half of my day. The other half of my day, I kind of do art. And I'm totally for this, diversifying the work environment and seeing, kind of what I saw in school, where till 12th grade, it seems like boys and girls are pretty much equally represented. I'm not really sure where the gap happens, where it's not reflected in the workforce as much. But once that does happen, and all of these, and we hopefully see a balance, do you think realistically that the priorities of industries will change? Where, as you were saying, that we will focus more on environmentally driven industries and kind of repair the damage of whatever we as people have caused, either to the earth or just flaws in any of the system. So do you think that's the missing link where we equality for both men and women will kind of perfect the system and kind of bring it to some sort of resolutions?
I think it's a fantastic question, and what I've seen, what my clients are feeding back to me, and what my personal experience is, that we spent a lot of time talking about the ideals that we want to do. So we're all talking mainstream now about closing the inequalities gap. We're talking mainstream now about tackling indifference and illness and racism and sexism and all the isms. We have been talking passionately about them for a very long time, but this shift to diverse conversations in the boardroom is when we'll really see whether we are really up for it or not, because it's easy to talk, it's easy to have lush conferences, but what we're really calling for right now, what this conversation is calling for, are leaders who will do the work to hold their within their sphere of influence to task. That women and men who will say, we're not cutting it, we're not meeting this mark, are we serious about this? And so the answer will come to, we'll see the answer to your question when we have leaders who are raising up their voice, finding their voice to be truly about this work, not just talking about it, but being overseers of it, being monitors of it, measurers of it, and calling to task their boards and their organizations and their industries to measure and not be okay with very incremental or very low or no progress. Leaders who will say enough. And so that's really what this call is for to every one of you. The issue is, can we do this work individually to become that voice that will really call people, call our boards, call within our sphere of influence to be honest about the progress or lack thereof, and the problems or lack thereof. To genuine conversations, like that's the kind of leadership that's being called for right now. In 2019, I believe it was, there was a conversation by an organization called the Business Roundtable, and they made an issue. They said it's no longer okay for businesses to be causing harm to people and the community. That now businesses can't just stay about the profit. They need to be stakeholder focused. They need to be thinking about how their business is affecting people. Now, this all sounds very good, but it takes, in order for there to be this change, there needs to be the kind of change that is uncomfortable. There needs to be distribution of power. There needs to be distribution of wealth. There needs to be a rethink about how we prioritize our spends, how we treat people. And this change sounds good, but in theory, but in practice, we know that we come up against resistance around creating these types of change. And we need leaders that are going to be sensitive, and leaders that are going to be sure of themselves, leaders that are going to be courageous, leaders that are going to be stand flat-footed and with respect and with elegance demand that their sphere of influence, within their sphere of influence, there is real commitment.
Dion, in your work with women leaders in the boardroom, can you give us an example of a success story some coaching journey that you did.
I think,
supporting
yes.
women, and also, like, why was it successful? What's the difference that made the difference? What elements were there that we could try to transfer to other situations?
You know, my clients come to me because they really care about making a difference. They really care about change. They really care about seeing transformation of outcomes and results as a direct result of what's happening in organizations and industries. And it is challenging where there are several challenges that I see women facing right now, is that the culture of leadership and the culture of high level leadership and organizational culture is not always conducive to the changes that are wanted to be made. So women are, even conscientious women that really want to make a difference, find that their difference-making aspirations take back seat to managing the stress of the environment. That it takes back seat to their desire, their need to prove themselves, or the one-upmanship gains, or the challenges of that. Work isn't always conducive to health. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of one-upmanship game playing. There's a lot of turning a blind eye to things, half-truths, so that the challenge that women are facing is that they want to make a difference, but their difference-making aspirations are having to take a back seat to just the fight of survival in that environment. And it causes the conflict. And so that's what I see with my clients. They want to make more difference, but, it's all that they can do just to be firefighting, to be dealing with the situations, the conversations, the pressures that are very real in board level leadership. And so my work is really all about helping women to, I read a book once by a man called Michael Gerber, who spoke. It was a book about entrepreneurs. It's called The E-Myth, and he has this principle in there that says that entrepreneurs need to not just work in the business; they need to step away and work on the business. And I think that's a really powerful principle for what we're doing with women right now, is that you can get so caught up with the humdrum, the busyness of work, that you stop working on yourself as a leader, that you stop working on yourself as the change maker, that you stop working on yourself as the messenger and the voice in that space. And this is what my clients are doing. They're taking a step back. They're coming away from the busyness and the pressures and the prejudice and the pushbacks and the problems and the challenges, and they are thinking about, who am I? What am I really here to do? What is my mission, my personal ongoing mission? What are my skills and my gifts and my talents? What is my professional point of view? What do I really bring to the table? Because you see, here's the thing. We are the people that are tasked with leading the shift of the culture. That is board level leadership. We are the ones that are tasked with creating a safer culture for people, for planet. But we can't do that whilst we're in it. Because somebody said you can't see the picture while you're in the frame. So the whole point of the coaching, the whole point of the support is to, every leader right now needs to be taking a step back and prioritizing a rethink of and a reset of who they are, what they bring to the table, what their expertise is, and the part that they have to play in the shift that needs to take part in their work. Stepping away and rethinking that is such a powerful game changer that my clients, I'm seeing people say that they can see the difference in their leadership. instead of being afraid and anxious and imposter thinking and feeling insecure or feeling like you're in a fight. In the coaching space and in the strategic conversations that we create in the support network, we now shift from imposter to important leaders of change. Yeah. We now move from anxious to authorized to lead. We go from feeling pressured to clear articulators of our needs and our point of view. Like, this work is not easy. Rhonda was telling us earlier that the work is challenging. It's a challenging atmosphere.
Ongoing.
Right. But with support, we can rise. We have what it takes to rise to the challenge. And that's what I'm seeing with my clients, is that there is this need. I used to be a midwife, and just a random fact that, 800 women a day die in childbirth. 800 women in a day around the world die in childbirth. And one of the real big reasons for that is lack of support. The systems are not set up to meet their needs, and they die. But we can. That's a very powerful metaphor for what I see happening in leadership, that we have women who are unsupported. We have women who are really positioned to make a big change. You can't affect change. You can't affect change outside of that room. These positions are positions of power, but we need to rethink our relationship with power. We need to rethink what it is that we're bringing to the table. And that happens in the professional coaching space.
Absolutely. This is very much, deep dive self-leadership development. It is about finding your voice and making your mark. And also, and I really like that, it is about building this community of support and actively leveraging this community of support. And I see more and more women standing up, not only for themselves, but also for others, and say, it's time we are paying it forward. It's time that we who made a part of that way already also show the way for other people, and do this together.
There are three really key areas that all of us as leaders right now who are being charged to help marketplace systems to shift their values and shift their priorities. This is no easy feat. And so I think it's a time when every leader now needs to be thinking about strengthening what I call their 3 pillars of leadership. They need to be working out, their authentic leader identity, their identity, who they are, what they bring to the table, what their skills, their gifts, their talents are. Really working out their innate authentic identity, what they're bringing, who they are and what they're bringing, who shows up when they show up, like what is it that they uniquely represent as an individual, as a leader and as a change maker. And then there's the second pillar, which is their influence. And this level of preparation is around thinking about what your message is, what your intellectual conclusions are, what your ideas and your insights are, your unique, valuable ideas and your unique, valuable insights. What is it that you see that needs to shift? What are your fresh approaches? What is your systemic thinking on things? Like, I know that a lot of us have in our minds what it is that we think about things, but as strategic leaders in this season, when such new approaches are required, we are all being called to think carefully about what that point of view is, and to be able to package that point of view so that it's presentable, so that we stand up as thought leaders, that we stand up as independent thinkers, that we stand up as data carriers, that we stand up as people who are able to bring fresh perspective and points of view influentially and with credibility. So this is work that we all need to be about right now. Developing our identity, developing our influential message, but also creating vision for change that we want to see. Creating a vision for the difference that we want to, that we believe needs to happen. Being able to envision it for ourselves and be able to communicate that vision at board level, to be able to communicate that vision with the people that we work with, the teams, with other allies and stakeholders, being able to communicate the vision. These are things that all of us as leaders now are being called to. But we can't do that we can't firefight and carry the weight of this level of leadership and do that. We need support to do that.
Absolutely. Dion, it is so clear that you are walking the talk. You have your vision so clear. You have your mission. You have your message. You have your narrative. You are really an example of how we can, model this approach and this, personal leadership development in order to create for ourselves and also for others and for this community, the empowerment or the repowerment, like you call it, to go through that door and really make the difference. So I am looking at the audience to see how this resonates with you, and if you have any questions or maybe experiences that are supporting what Dion is saying, or maybe where you struggle in your own experiences or what you see happening. So to raise your hand and join us here on the floor, and we will be very happy to give you the advice or the input that you are asking for. Dion, as I said, time is flying always when we are in the flow. So what would be, if you would be talking to somebody from the audience that is saying, okay, I am fully with you, this is really what I want, and now what? What would be like my first 3 steps to do in order to go through that door, through that boardroom door? Practical steps.
I think the very first thing we need to do is just get yourself a new journal and really think about these 3 pillars. 1, who am I now? Now that I have walked this professional path for a while, I developed my career, I've gotten this experience and that experience, I have, failed at this, learned that, succeeded at this, got this accomplishment under my belt. Who am I now? This identity piece is a really critical one. We need to be asking ourselves, what kind of unique, valuable proposition do I represent in the marketplace? What is it that I uniquely bring to the table? What do I uniquely represent? This inquiry is one that we should all be doing periodically, but if for those women who are really wanting to be part of shifting things right now, we need to be really clear about what it is that we uniquely bring to the table, what we represent. The second pillar is the influence. Now, this is about your own point of view. This is about pulling together your body of work, your intelligence, your professional insights that are related to the biggest problems that your organization wants to fill. So if your organization has a mission around inequality, or if your organization has a mission around racism and or how it treats people or how it's sustainable, and you have ideas and insights around that, now is our time for us to be really getting that message honed, really getting that message packaged, really developing ourselves as leaders and orators of our own ideas. It's never been more easy right now to write a book. everybody here has got a LinkedIn profile. It's about starting to share those ideas and share those insights in ways that people can comment on them, learn from them. Learning and sharing together is a really key part of influencing within our sphere of influence, and increasing that sphere of influence through social media, through writing, through white papers, through network meetings, and coming together to talk about the issues, the real problems, and bringing your insights, learning how to share your ideas. This is very powerful. And then the third pillar, of course, is about impact, and it's about thinking about the actual change that needs to happen. That each one of us can call for the change that we think needs to happen. We can begin to paint the vision. We can hold our organizations and our industries to task about where it is that we're going, and measure whether or not we're getting there, and speak up loudly about that. So these three pillars of leadership, each one of us need to be thinking about how we are developing those three independently.
Awesome. I have Lisette here who is raising her hand. So Lisette, welcome. I will give you the floor. So if you could give us a short introduction and then share with us what you want to share. You should be live anytime. Hi, Lisette. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Great. Thank you very much. This has been a great conversation. I'm a longtime clinician turned peer educator in healthcare. And the one thing I find in leadership that I would love to hear from anyone is what I'm finding is that I'm having a hard time. I feel like we're losing the inequity conversation in the equality conversation, because I get as much pushback from women getting offended that I might say you're a woman CEO or you've gotten here as a woman, as I get from somebody maybe you're expecting from them having a gender bias. I found that over the past couple of years, which has been interesting to me because it's increased in the past couple of years. I don't think it's because my voice has gotten louder. I think it's just the nature of cancellation going on. And I just wondered if any of you guys saw that, because I particularly speak to the fact that women are different than men and we operate differently. We don't utilize our energy. We run on different energy cycles, and all of these things can be used to our advantage and leverage in making us leaders. And yet that's something that is to a conversation, but it's a hard conversation to have with people that get offended or even being a woman.
I think that thank you so much for bringing the point up. We do live in a cancel culture. That's why I think that we need to invest in our development as influencers, that we need to develop our point of view and make it presentable. And then we need to have the support to manage the risk associated with speaking our truth. That anybody who's ever spoken their truth, anybody that's ever tried to create change, anybody that's ever had a strong point of view has simultaneously attracted supporters and joint movement makers and naysayers. It's part of the territory. Risk is part of the territory, and it's why we need to, that is why it's difficult. It's why things stay the same. It's why people can sit around a table I had a woman speaking to me this morning, and she said to me, I sit in the boardroom and I think to myself, we're going the wrong way. And I say, why don't you speak up? And I hear it over and over again. They don't want to hear that from me. Nobody else is saying that. They'll have me for breakfast if I come against their way. That's if we're talking about change, then we need to go through changes. And the kind of leadership that we are inviting each and every one of you on right now is one where we are prepared to speak up, where we're prepared to call things out, where we're prepared to bring new perspective. And herein lies the challenge, that it's so much easier to groupthink and say the same things as everybody else. But that's not the opportunity of the season. And it is possible to stand up and speak out, and there will be naysayers. And the way to deal with those naysayers is through your support network.
Awesome. Thank you for the question, and thank you for your input, Dion. We have two more people asking to speak, but we are almost on the hour. Felicia, I will give you the floor. So here you are. Welcome.
Hello, thank you so much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Right, so this conversation has been an amazing one. I'm speaking from someone the perspective of someone who sits in a boardroom and also sits on governance body here in London. And in everything that you've discussed, I think some of the things that I would like to reiterate is being in the position that I'm in and make it my duty to empower other women and other female in my team. I really push them and empower them and encourage them to say, you can. And I think that's partly what's missing. Yes, I think the person who mentioned the sort of cancel culture, because if you say to someone, well, you did it as a woman, people tend to get offended. But I utilize the fact that I'm a woman in so many ways because I think I bring different things to the table from what my male counterparts bring. But at the same time, I've been around tables where I've been the only woman, and not just the only woman, but the only Black woman. And I know how lonely that feels.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I always, always, always encourage and stretch my hand out to pull someone else up as well. And I think that's exactly what's needed.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I think that there are three things needed. I think that we need to set the intention that we're up for this, that we're up for being part of this difficult challenge of helping marketplace systemically shift our priorities and systemically shift our value system from profit only and shareholder only to stakeholder interest and people and planet and future generations focused. Like, set your intention to be part of that. And then secondly, what we need to be doing is create the commitment to be in it for the long haul. Do what's necessary. Get the support network together. Find your system for growing you and your voice and your influence. You know, be invested in that. Invest for the long haul, because it's not something that is going to happen overnight. It's something that we have to develop over the long term. And then the third thing is to create strategic conversations that help you to grow, that call forth that help you to navigate your own power, work out what it is that you bring to the table, work out how to use your voice, and work out how to sensitively begin to lead, like in the true sense of the word, painting the vision and helping people to buy into your ideas. Like, this is real work that takes commitment. Have we got time to hear from Patrick?
Yes, we are over the hour. So, Patrick, I'm going to give you the floor. If you can please be short and concise so we can make it a close. But I'll be very happy to have another voice in the room. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you very much. I have to say, this is the best panel of women in business that I've listened to in at least 2 decades. So
thank you.
I must say, holy cow. You've nailed all of it. I think this discussion here has been so wholesome. You've nailed all of it. And the word that I was waiting for was impact.
Yeah.
You see, because impact, it crosses all barriers. If we think about Rosa Parks saying, sorry, I'm going to sit where I want to sit. And we think about musicians and we think about politicians. Look at where women in politics have gone. I mean, it's gosh, you got it all right. So everything is correct. It's just a matter of digging into your toolbox and say, all right, so what's my super differentiator? And by the way, what companies am I most likely to succeed so I can pull other women in business along with me? That's all I have to say, and I just want to congratulate everybody. You guys are
awesome. Thank you so much, Patrick. That's a very wise note or nice note to make it to a close. What I have taken from this session, Dion, and this was full of nudges. So I can only imagine, except if you have been writing your handouts, I can only imagine that you will want to listen to the replay again, because what I wrote down here, Dion, is the 3 I's of identity, influence and impact, which is like, a very good capstock in order to remember. But you have been, sharing so generously, so much gold. So for those of you who entered the room later, just connect with us directly. We will send you the replay. And I know that there's a lot that we can continue in this conversation, and we are very happy to. And also Dion is very open. You have a lot of things going on. You do a lot on YouTube. You share a lot of information and wisdom. So just, join us, join the movement of women leaders that are on a mission, that have a vision, that build their message, and that make the difference. And then we will be very happy, because this is what is our mission. So thank you so much, Dion, for being here with me again. And this is absolutely not the last time. Thanks, audience, for being here with us. We know that spending 1 hour of your precious time is an investment, and we really appreciate you being here and also your contributions and interactions. Thank you so much. Dion, a last word from you?
That we can change things. There's an opportunity. They're ready to hear from us. Our particular types of leadership are really needed in this new season, and it's incumbent upon us to answer the call to prepare with these 3 I's, your identity, work out who you are, work out the influence that you have, work out the power that you have to influence and what your message is, and think about the impact that you particularly want to commit to being part of creating, and tell people.
Awesome. So only one question. Share the love. Show us some appreciation. Hit this react buttons and give us some thumbs up or hearts if you appreciated our session. I can see them coming in, Dion, and I really ask this for you because I believe that you really deserve it. You have been so... Oh, it is full of hearts. I don't know if you can see it on your screen. So thank you so much for being here. This is an ongoing thing. We love you. We love women in leadership. We love men in leadership that love women in leadership. And all together we can contribute and participate and make this a better world. And that is why we are here. So thank you so much for joining us. Next week, I am here with Montana Hidefi, and we are talking about women leadership in terms of artificial intelligence. So be here. We will be very welcoming you about that topic as well. That is also extremely relevant nowadays. And as I said, connect with us, and we will be very happy to support you with any question that you have. So bye for now, and see you later. Take care.
Bye, everyone.